The apartment was dimly lit as Hannah sat at the worn-out kitchen table, her tired eyes fixed on a cup of cold coffee. The hum of the city outside seemed distant compared to the weight pressing on her shoulders. Memories of her childhood flashed before her, the early years with a distant father, the fleeting moments with a stepfather, and the sudden responsibility that fell upon her when her mother became a widow. Hannah's thoughts echoed with the words her mother once spoke, "You're my only support." It started as a part-time job, a way to help a struggling family. Little did she know that it would evolve into a full-time commitment, eventually forcing her to adjust her education around her responsibilities at home. As Hannah's relationship with her mother blossomed, so did the financial strain. The apartment rent, her brother's education, and the daily needs of the household all became Hannah's responsibility. She worked tirelessly, often sacrificing her own needs for the sake of her family. The burden grew heavier as she internalized the weight of her mother's expectations. One evening, as Hannah prepared a modest dinner, her mother walked into the cramped kitchen, a weary expression etched on her face. The conversation unfolded like a well-rehearsed script, the same lines repeated with a predictable rhythm. "Thank you for all you do, Hannah. You're my rock," her mother said, her eyes filled with gratitude. Hannah forced a smile. "It's okay, Mom. We're family after all." Yet, beneath the facade of gratitude lay the unspoken truth. The burden felt heavier with each passing day. A few days later, while Hannah was sorting through bills, her younger brother, Michael, entered the room, oblivious to the financial intricacies his sister juggled. "Hey sis, can you lend me some cash?" he asked, a nonchalant tone betraying his lack of awareness. Hannah sighed, her patience wearing thin. "Michael, I can't keep bailing you out every time you run out of money. You need to learn to manage." His response was a dismissive shrug. "Whatever, you always find a way." In the midst of the mundane conversations and silent sacrifices, Chapter 1 painted a vivid picture of Hannah's life, the exhaustion, the unspoken expectations, and the looming realization that the burden of responsibility might be a lifelong companion. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of a transformative journey that would challenge her notions of duty, family, and self-worth. The apartment echoed with the clinking of utensils as Hannah sat at the table, lost in thought. The burden she carried had become a constant companion, and the expectations placed upon her by her mother weighed heavily on her conscience. The air in the room felt thick with the unspoken assumptions that had built up over the years. One evening, as Hannah returned from work, her mother sat in the living room, a tired smile on her face. "Hannah, dear, I was hoping we could talk," her mother said, patting the seat beside her. Hannah hesitated but sat down, ready for the familiar conversation that always seemed to circle back to the same point. "I've been thinking about your future, dear. You've been such a help, and I appreciate it, but there's so much more you could do," her mother began, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and expectation. Hannah sighed, bracing herself for what she knew was coming. "Mom, I'm doing my best. I have my own dreams, too." Her mother's gaze turned solemn. "Of course, dear, but family comes first. You're the backbone of this family. I never expected you to carry this burden alone, but you've done it so well. I know you can do more." The weight of her mother's words hung in the air. Hannah, torn between duty and personal aspirations, responded, "I just want to live my life, Mom. I'm not abandoning you or Michael, but I can't keep sacrificing everything for everyone." Her mother's eyes hardened for a moment before softening again. "I know, dear. I just thought you'd understand. Family is everything." The following weekend, during a family dinner, the tension thickened. Michael, absorbed in his phone, seemed detached from the unspoken conversation between his mother and sister. As dishes were passed around, the room buzzed with a strained energy. "Hannah," her mother started, "Michael has some ambitious plans. He wants to go back to school, and you know how expensive that can be." Hannah frowned, her patience wearing thin. "Mom, we've been through this. I'm doing my best, but I have limits." Her mother's gaze turned pleading. I never imagined we'd be in this situation. Your father's alimony helps, but it's not enough. You're the key to our stability." A heavy silence settled over the room, broken only by the distant sounds of the city outside. In that moment, Chapter 2 unfolded, revealing the intricate web of expectations that entangled Hannah's life. The clash between personal dreams and familial obligations intensified, leaving Hannah at a crossroads with an uncertain future. As the seasons changed, so did the dynamics between Hannah and her younger brother, Michael. The responsibilities that once seemed unspoken started to unravel, revealing a subtle tension beneath the surface. The apartment, filled with shared memories and muted conversations, bore witness to the shifting currents of sibling relationships. One evening, Hannah returned home to find Michael sprawled on the living room couch, engrossed in a video game. The apartment, though small, seemed to grow larger with the weight of unspoken expectations. "Hey, Michael, how was your day?" Hannah asked, attempting to initiate a conversation. Same old, same old. Just work and stuff," he replied, his attention still fixated on the virtual world on the screen. Hannah sighed, a sense of frustration building within her. "Michael, we need to talk about money. You're working now, and it's time to contribute to the household expenses. I can't carry everything on my own." He shrugged, his indifference palpable. "I help when I can. What's the big deal?" Hannah, feeling a surge of frustration, responded, "The big deal is that this isn't just about me. Mom needs help too. We're a family, and you can't keep living like you're the only one responsible for yourself." Michael glanced at her, annoyance flashing in his eyes. "I'm doing the best I can. I've got my own bills to pay." Their conversation hung in the air, a tense silence filling the room. It was a snapshot of the growing divide between siblings, one burdened by responsibilities, the other seemingly oblivious to the family's financial struggles. In the weeks that followed, Michael's spending habits became a source of concern for Hannah. Late-night calls from her mother hinted at the strain she was facing, and it became clear that Michael's earnings were not contributing to the family's well-being. One day, unable to contain her frustration any longer, Hannah confronted Michael as he sat in the kitchen, scrolling through his phone. "Michael, we need to talk. Mom is struggling, and I can't keep covering for you. You have to step up and help." He looked up, a defiant expression on his face. "I earn for myself, not the entire family. If Mom needs help, she should ask me directly." Hannah, exasperated, replied, "You're part of this family, Michael. You can't turn a blind eye to what's happening around you. We need to support each other." The chapter unfolded with strained dialogues and unspoken tensions, shedding light on the growing complexities of sibling relationships. As the dynamics continued to shift, Hannah grappled with the realization that her brother's understanding of responsibility differed vastly from her own. Little did she know that these differences would be pivotal in shaping the trajectory of their intertwined lives. The dusty scent of an old apartment welcomed Hannah as she entered the space bequeathed to her by her late father. The unexpected inheritance was a mixed bag of emotions, nostalgia, grief, and the unsettling realization that it might become a catalyst for further family discord. As Hannah explored the rooms filled with memories, she grappled with conflicting emotions. The worn-out furniture and faded wallpaper whispered stories of a past she had tried to forget. The weight of the responsibility she carried seemed to intensify in the quiet corners of the apartment. One evening, as the setting sun cast a warm glow on the worn-out couch, Hannah sat with her mother, discussing the implications of the newfound property. "Mom, I don't know what to do with this apartment. It's a lot to handle, especially with everything else on my plate," Hannah confessed, her eyes reflecting a mixture of uncertainty and exhaustion. Her mother, however, saw the inheritance as an opportunity. "Hannah, dear, this could be a turning point for us. We could sell it and use the money to ease our financial burdens. It's a chance for a fresh start." Hannah hesitated, a knot forming in her stomach. "But Mom, I was thinking of keeping it. Maybe it could be a place for Michael, a space of his own." Her mother's reaction was a mix of surprise and disappointment. Hannah, we need the money. Your brother needs to learn responsibility, not be handed everything on a silver platter. As the discussion lingered, the weight of familial expectations seemed to intensify. The apartment became a symbol of conflicting priorities and the diverging paths each family member envisioned. A week later, as Hannah discussed the inheritance with Michael, the conversation took an unexpected turn. "Michael, what do you think about having your own place? This apartment could be yours," she suggested, trying to gauge his reaction. His response was dismissive. "I'm good here, sis. I don't need some old apartment. Besides, I've got other plans for my money." The exchange highlighted the contrasting perspectives within the family: Hannah's desire for stability and Michael's resistance to the idea of responsibility. The chapter unfolded against the backdrop of the inherited apartment, a tangible representation of the unresolved conflicts that simmered within the family. As Hannah grappled with the decision of what to do with this unexpected gift, she faced not only the challenge of managing the property, but also the emotional weight it added to the already strained relationships within her family. The unsettling inheritance became a metaphor for the unsettled nature of their lives, forcing Hannah to confront the deep-rooted issues that lingered beneath the surface. As the seasons shifted, so did the landscape of Hannah's life. Marriage brought new joys and responsibilities, yet the echoes of her past lingered, intertwining with the aspirations of her present. Building her own family became a balancing act, as the demands of her immediate family collided with the needs of her fledgling household. One evening, as Hannah and her husband, David, sat in their cozy living room, the glow of shared dreams flickered against the backdrop of lingering family expectations. "Hannah, I love your family, but it feels like we're drowning in their needs. Your mother's constant calls for money, your brother's indifference, it's affecting us," David admitted, concern etched on his face. Hannah sighed, the weight of her family's expectations pressing against her chest. "I know, David. I just want to create a stable environment for us and our child. But every time I try to set boundaries, I'm met with guilt trips and accusations." David took her hand, offering reassurance. "We're a team, Hannah. We need to prioritize our family first. Your brother has to learn to stand on his own, and your mother can't keep relying on you as her sole support." Their conversation highlighted the strains on Hannah's marriage, as the expectations of her family clashed with her desire to create a new, independent life. Amidst these challenges, the impending arrival of their first child added both excitement and apprehension. As Hannah prepared for the new chapter of motherhood, her mother's voice echoed in her mind, questioning her ability to manage without the financial support she had grown dependent on. One day, as she shared the news with her mother, the reaction was not the joyful celebration Hannah had hoped for. "Hannah dear, children are expensive. Are you sure you can manage without my help?" her mother voiced, a tinge of disapproval coloring her words. Hannah, frustrated, responded, "Mom, we're excited about this baby, but I need your emotional support, not just financial. I want to build my own family without feeling guilty for not meeting your expectations." The conversation unfolded, revealing the persistent struggle between Hannah's desire for autonomy and her mother's expectations. As the months passed, the strain on Hannah's marriage intensified. David, sensing the toll it was taking on their relationship, suggested a candid conversation with her family. One evening, as Hannah dialed her mother's number, the room was filled with a tense anticipation. "Mom, I love you, but I need space to build my own family. We can't keep living like this," she asserted, her voice resolute. Her mother's response was a mix of disappointment and defiance. "Hannah, you're abandoning us. Your brother needs your help, and I'm not getting any younger. What about family loyalty?" Hannah, determined, replied, "I'll always care, Mom, but I need to prioritize my family now. David and our child deserve that. I hope you can understand." The chapter unfolded as Hannah navigated the delicate balance between the family she was born into and the family she was creating. The tides of change tested her resolve, forcing her to confront deep-seated expectations and redefine the boundaries of her responsibilities. In the pursuit of building her own family, Hannah faced the challenge of breaking free from the shackles of her past. The apartment echoed with the hushed footsteps of change as Hannah embraced a final chapter of her transformative journey. The liberation of self became a beacon, guiding her through the complexities of familial expectations and personal aspirations. With each step, she ventured closer to a life untethered from the burdens of the past. One evening, as Hannah and David sat in their living room, the glow of a setting sun cast a warm hue on the walls. The conversation shifted from the challenges they faced to the path ahead. "Hannah, I see the toll this has taken on you. It's time to set firm boundaries with your family, for our sake and the sake of our child," David urged, his eyes filled with concern. She nodded, a mix of determination and trepidation in her expression. "I've tried for so long to be everything for them, but it's time to prioritize our family and let go of the guilt." The conversation marked a pivotal moment, the acknowledgement that Hannah's journey towards self-liberation required not only her resilience, but also the unwavering support of her partner. As Hannah began to assert her independence, the phone calls from her mother grew more desperate. The requests for money became pleas, each laden with emotional manipulation. One day, as Hannah answered the persistent ringing, the conversation unfolded with a familiar tone of urgency. "Hannah, I can't make ends meet. Your brother needs help, and I'm struggling. Can't you see that your family is falling apart without you?" Hannah, though torn, held her ground. "Mom, I can't keep sacrificing my family for the sake of yours. It's time for all of us to stand on our own. I love you, but I can't be your crutch anymore." The words lingered in the air, a stark reminder of the distance Hannah had traveled in her quest for self-liberation. In the weeks that followed, Hannah took deliberate steps to redefine the boundaries that had confined her for so long. She focused on her immediate family, cherishing the moments with David and preparing for the arrival of their child. One day, as they prepared the nursery together, David smiled at her. "Hannah, this is our fresh start, our little family, free from the shadows of the past." As she embraced the freedom to live on her terms, Hannah felt the weight of the burden lift from her shoulders. The liberation of self was not just a personal triumph, but a declaration that her own family deserved the undivided focus of her love and attention. The final chapter unfolded as Hannah, guided by the lessons of resilience and self-discovery, embraced the freedom to shape her own destiny. In the quiet moments of reflection, she recognized the strength that had always resided within her, a strength that had propelled her toward a life unburdened by the expectations of others. The air felt different as Hannah stood on the threshold of her newfound freedom, a testament to the resilience she had cultivated through years of sacrifice and self-discovery. The motivational epilogue of her story unfolded like the turning of a page, ushering in a new chapter of empowerment and liberation. As Hannah gazed at the cityscape from her apartment window, the skyscrapers stood tall, mirroring the strength she had found within herself. The phone calls from her mother had become infrequent, the guilt trips losing their grip. The weight of familial expectations had shifted, and in its place emerged a sense of self-assurance. One day, as she sat in the living room with David, a quiet peace settled over them. He looked at her, a smile playing on his lips. "Hannah, I see a different light in your eyes. You've come a long way, and I'm proud of the woman you've become." She returned the smile, a glint of gratitude in her eyes. "David, this journey has been challenging, but it's led me to a place where I can prioritize us. Our family deserves this peace." Their dialogue echoed the underlying theme of the epilogue, the importance of prioritizing personal well-being and the strength that comes from facing and overcoming challenges. The epilogue continued as Hannah embraced her role as a mother. The cries of their newborn filled the apartment, creating a melody that harmonized with the newfound tranquility of their home. David held their child, and Hannah marveled at the realization that she had created a family founded on love, understanding, and shared dreams. In the rare moments when her mother called, Hannah answered with a newfound assertiveness. "Mom, we're doing well. We're a family, and we found our rhythm. I hope you can be happy for us." Her mother's responses became less accusatory and more resigned. "Hannah, I hope you know that I love you. I just worry about your brother." Hannah, with a calm determination, replied, "I understand, Mom. But we've all got to find our own paths. I hope he figures it out too." The motivational epilogue unfolded with scenes of Hannah confidently navigating her life, a life of her own making. The apartment became a sanctuary, a space where her family thrived without the interference of past burdens. The echoes of her journey reverberated through the walls, a reminder that freedom came not only from external liberation, but from the internal strength to choose one's path. In the final scene, as Hannah looked into the mirror, she saw a reflection not just of her face, but of the woman who had emerged from the trials of her past. The epilogue celebrated the journey to freedom, a journey that empowered Hannah to shape her destiny, prioritize her happiness, and create a legacy founded on love, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of personal fulfillment.